Hello and welcome to interest.co.nz. I'm Gareth Vaughan with another of our double shot interviews, and I'm joined by Rob Ellis, who is the CEO of Semble. Welcome in, Rob. Good to see you.
Thanks, Gareth.
Now, Semble, of course, has recently launched a mobile wallet, but plans afoot to be much more than a mobile wallet, so we'll get into that later. But I guess just to kick off, Rob, how are things going thus far? I mean, you launched, I think, beginning of April, so you've had sort of 5-6 weeks going now. Do you know how many people have signed up to use Semble thus far?
Yeah, well, things are going really well. In a short 6 weeks since launch at the end of March, we're not sharing numbers publicly, but pleased with the progress so far, and very much in line with the expectations. We're into the thousands, several thousands already, and I guess important to note that we're in a phase of the launch which you might describe as soft launch, so very much below the line kind of marketing activity, very targeted. Probably not unsurprisingly, targeting people with the right phones, the right devices, and people with the right banking relationships. So that's starting to ramp up now, that marketing activity, and we'll increase that over the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, so obviously, we for those who don't know, we're talking about Android phones with NFC capability, and
that's right.
And your bank members at this point are ASB and
At this
BNZ.
stage, that's right.
Yep. And obviously, all three mobile phone network operators are on there: Vodafone, Spark, and 2 Degrees plus Paymark.
That's correct.
Now look. So you've obviously, to become a Semble customer, you need a SIM card that's right for the job. So I guess because people have to use their own initiative to some degree to become a customer, how much is that shaping your marketing? And you're talking about targeting people. I mean, are you going to be sending SIMs out free? How's it going to work?
Yes, well, there's a multi sort of stage approach to that, which is broadly in line with the phased approach to marketing generally. So at this point, being very targeted marketing, we're providing the ability for customers, potential customers, to check whether they have a compatible device and whether they're able to get the Semble wallet, i.e. Have a compatible device and have the right banking relationship, and then we take them through, handhold them through the process of getting a SIM card. So, for example, we have a website, getsemble.co.nz, which takes anyone, actually, whether they're targeted or not, through a process of assessing all of those different factors. And at the end, there's a very clear explanation of how you get a new SIM card, and that can be ordered online. You can go into a retail outlet, or in many cases, it's being proactively shipped with, for example, some of the new S6 Samsung Galaxy S6 devices that are coming out.
And obviously the collaborative approach that you've taken at Semble in New Zealand is pretty unique. No one's really done it elsewhere in the world. I mean, how has that been? It can't be easy to bring all these different parties together.
It's had its moments, that's for sure. But I think that at the end, the people that have stayed through the process and are still very much involved, even if they're not necessarily launch partners in one way or another, see the end vision of why Semble was created in the first place as being an important thing to be part of. And so what we've launched with 6 weeks ago with 3 mobile network operators and 2 banks with a payment solution is really just the beginning. So ultimately we're creating an ecosystem, if you will, or a new virtual mobile marketplace, which is centred around a technology capability and a technology infrastructure, or you might even describe it as a utility capability, that any New Zealand company, particularly in the future, importantly, SMEs, can participate in and get access to the whole of the New Zealand market through the 3 major mobile network operators. And so the challenges of the collaboration have been there, as you well appreciate, given the number of companies involved, but equally there's been a really strong alignment to that vision and that end game, which is really important for New Zealand, because this is not just about a commercial enterprise, it's about doing what's right for New Zealand, given the size of the market here and our uniqueness in many other ways.
And I mean, that's an interesting point you talk about the marketplace, because obviously at the early stage now, we sort of think of going, popping downstairs to buy a newspaper and a drink maybe, and paying using my phone, my Semble app through my phone. But the vision is for there to be a lot more than that to it, isn't there? I mean, you've talked about loyalty cards, and you're working with, I think, Burger Fuel and Snapper.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the types of of services you're hoping to provide, and who some of your partners may be in coming months and years?
Absolutely. Probably the simplest way to look at it or think about it is that ultimately we're looking to replace the physical contents of your wallet or purse with digital versions that would sit in your smartphone. And actually, I think probably a good an important point to make is that it's not just about mobile wallet in terms of the customer's experience either. This is actually the mobile wallet ultimately, and it sits within the smartphone. So we're starting with payments. And we've launched with ASB and BNZ. We're talking to a number of other banks and non-bank payment providers. And our focus this year for 2015 is also on 3 other what we describe as service categories. So transit, loyalty, and what we call mobile marketing, which is effectively vouchers and coupons and offers. So Burger Fuel would fall into the latter category, and we're trialling with Burger Fuel at the moment, offers that you can redeem in Burger Fuel outlets, and there'll be more of those to come as the year rolls out. Transit, of course, we're launching with Snapper next month in June, and very excited about that. Clearly, Snapper not only provide an option for transit, Snapper, they also have a payment capability as well. And then on the loyalty front, that's a large area of focus for us at the moment. So talking to a lot of companies about enabling their loyalty cards in one way, shape or form into the Semble wallet.
Now, just in terms of the banks and the other payments providers, I mean, who might we see coming on board next?
We haven't got a determined or defined order of onboarding customers to onboard next in the payments space. There are a number of companies that we're talking to, and we're at varying stages of conversation and discussion and so forth with them. But I'd certainly expect to see at least another bank this calendar year, coming on board.
And can you give us names of some of the banks you're talking to?
Yes, we're talking to ANZ, Kiwi Bank, TSB, Co-op, and others that are perhaps more in the non-banking payment space.
What sort of non-banks would they be?
So the sort of companies that might be included there, GE, for example, Fisher & Paykel Finance. There's a number of, I guess, non-traditional banking card offerings out there that would be just as relevant in the Semble wallet.
Now, obviously, the Semble app works in Android phones. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there are Apple phones as well, which everyone knows a lot about, the iPhones, and they have NFC capability in the new iPhones, and they've launched Apple Pay in the States. What are your your hopes and expectations of how or when you may be able to work with Apple?
Yeah, it's a good question. Part of our long-term vision is to make Semble available to as many New Zealanders as possible. So that includes not just Android devices, but iPhones and Microsoft Windows and other devices as well in the future, as well as, of course, as many different services and service providers as possible. So Apple and iPhones are a very important part of that, without question. It was great to hear Apple announce the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus in September to include NFC capability and in conjunction with that, the launch of Apple Pay in the US. So my hope would be that there's an ability for Apple and Semble to work together to enable Apple access to the New Zealand market in a way that was a win-win for both organisations. Because ultimately, as with Apple Pay and Semble starting with payments, it's not just about payments in the long term. So for Semble to be able to facilitate in some way Apple's access to a much wider range of services than just payments would be ideal. So it's early days. Apple, of course, not launched in any other market yet today with Apple Pay, and I don't imagine New Zealand would be high up on their priorities compared to some of the other big markets which have a very high penetration of contactless already. But that said, time moves quickly, and would welcome the opportunity to talk to Apple at some point that was relevant to both companies.
And is that something you'll will you approach them yourself at some point, or wait for them to come to you, or how do you think?
I think Russell Stanners, the CEO of Vodafone, said at the launch quite tellingly, Apple will talk to you when they're ready. So I don't think that's probably going to happen in the short term, but obviously very open to that conversation when the time's right. And it's relatively early days too. We've only just launched, clearly, and we've got a focus that initially is around Android. There's 1 million plus Android compatible NFC devices in the market today, so there's a good size addressable market. And we've got lots of things to do in the focus that we have for the short to medium term. So when the time's right, it'd be great to engage with Apple, and we'll see how all that unfolds over the coming months.
And we'll watch with interest.
Indeed.
Now, obviously in New Zealand, EFTPOS has been a very successful and popular payments, system we've had for a long time. It's not compatible now with mobile, but obviously could be in the future. Just wondering, is there likely to be a role or a place for EFTPOS within Semble at any stage?
I'd love to see it. I think that, as Kiwis, we love EFTPOS, and it's been one of the real success stories of, our adoption of technology and things that are uniquely Kiwi, going back 20 odd years ago. And today it isn't compatible, as you say, because it's not a contactless card solution, and the mobile solution today requires that contactless capability. We're a small part of the environment of various parties that would need to work together to bring together an EFTPOS solution for mobile. But we'd love to be a part of that if that was that came about.
But it's not likely to happen in the near term.
I can't see it happening in the near term, as much as I'd like to see that. But I'm not driving that agenda. I'm a supporting voice for it. But we'll see how that plays out. But I'd love to see EFTPOS cards in the Semble wallet and the smartphone.
Now, of course, ANZ and Westpac are at the moment pursuing their own mobile wallet projects using host card emulation technology, which is cloud-based. Quite different, I guess, to the technology that Semble's currently using. Are you confident, I guess, that host card emulation technology is going to work in the way they want it to work? And are you still hopeful that you'll get them on board at some point?
Well, in answer to the first question, HCE is an exciting new technology. It's one piece of the overall solution that's required for bringing to market a payments solution for mobile. It's got it's early days, so there are some learnings that everyone around the world that's exploring and implementing, typically today in pilot or trial approach this technology. And so it's relatively early days. It's not a mature technology, and so we've launched with a SIM-based approach for the secure element piece, which is largely what the HCE cloud-based capability provides for, but it's just one part of the solution. So it's something that will inevitably evolve to and adopt, and we've looked at HCE and will continue to monitor the progress of that closely with some of our partners and on our own in our own right as well. And then in terms of the latter part of your question, I hope that both ANZ and Westpac in the future become part of the Semble journey. And I think importantly, it's not an either-or scenario. You can have a mobile wallet application that is branded of a particular bank and has a particular technology stack behind it, but it's not to say that you can't also have cards in the Semble wallet. So we'll see how all that unfolds.
And the other thing I guess ASB and Westpac are doing is they've launched the pay tag stickers. So that enables both Android and iPhones to be used to make payments.
Yes.
Where do they fit into the picture? I mean, is that sort of a competing technology to what you're doing?
No, I don't see it as competing really. It's complementary. And I think in many respects it's probably a transitionary technology. You can put a pay tag on anything. It doesn't have to be your smartphone. You could put it on your briefcase or your watch or wherever you wanted to put it, and it'll perform the same functions for the most part. And so in the short to medium term, it addresses a need and a customer requirement, a market requirement, certainly interest from the banks to trial different stuff. So I don't see it as competitive. I see it as complementary and probably transitionary.
I'll ask you now just to get your crystal ball out. Where would you hope to see Semble in, say, 5 years from now?
Oh, look, I'd love to see Semble as the living the vision or achieving the vision that it set out to bring to life, and that is a smartphone that contains all of those things that you have in your wallet or purse today, and more. So beyond credit cards and debit cards and loyalty cards, gift cards, tickets, and those sort of things you stuff in your wallet. Access to building security, those cards that we hang around our necks and go into the office, car keys, driver's license, passport, who knows what's
forms of ID and
all sorts of things. So because at the end of the day, it's about more convenience for Kiwis and improving the efficiency of our lives and reducing the admin, and as far as having lots and lots of cards that we carry around with us to be able to have all that in our smartphone when we've already given up our camera and our calculator and our maps and our music players and many other things. It's logical that all those other things in our wallet would follow too.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Rob.
And
That's Rob Ellis, who's the CEO of Semble, and I'm Gareth Vaughan at interest.co.nz.